So with FUT Champs pretty much on the way and finished, let me know down below how you've managed to get on this week. I managed to get 9, which to be honest, I thought was pretty decent for a very first starter. I thought with playing a few rivals, coming up against some absolutely incredible teams, even then the first 3 games, winning 2 and, 2-1 I went. In general, like the teams looked a lot better than what I kind of anticipated for the start of the weekend league. And from there, we did pretty well. I must admit, we managed to lock in quite a bit. Not necessarily going too sweaty, like I'm not that fussed, but in general, the rewards I've seen across the board have been pretty decent. So I thought we'll have a look through the squads. We're going to look at 100, 200, 500, 3, I think 1 million, 2 million to see where we're at. So the first comment I want is, what is the price of your team currently? What are we looking at? Are we looking at a 200k team at the moment? Did rewards upgrade your team at any point? Leave it down below. So starting off, obviously we've got a relatively standard team, and the first thing I'm always seeing now, obviously Ekitike I think is going to be a great Evo in the future. We are seeing a lot of the same sort of centre-backs, a lot of the same midfielders. I must admit, this midfield definitely is a little bit off in comparison to what I've seen, but I do know Dybala could be decent enough. Rice with a box crasher could be nice as well, and we have got the likes of Dumfries, Tomori, who are fantastic across the board, and obviously Tomori is going to get himself a lovely card come the level 40, 86 rated. That's going to be a great card for, if not a starter team, most definitely into that gauntlet. Then if we move up another one, we've got kind of your standard now. Šeško probably not going to be my main striker in this realistically, unless there is a massive Evo for him. But Pinner, obviously coming in quite high up on the rankings there. We've got the tick, which I mean, does take away, I think, the untradeable. So it's basically like a first owner. So it's only counting the price of the ones without the tick. So we can kind of see where we're going with the pricing of this. Obviously, Elanga, Gordon, if you're going for the very cheap wingers, have always been there. Tonali, fantastic. Cunha, not bad. I mean, he's managed to get an Evo in my team at the moment. And then Cam and Vinger's always a great shout. Vivian, I think, is a solid centre-back when it comes to the cheap side of stuff. Mappy again, if you're looking for Liga F players, definitely not the worst you could get amongst them. And then we move up slightly into a team. I think Thuram is most definitely a great starter striker. Him, Lookman, obviously Dzeko from an SBC. The Serie A is full of some absolute gems when it comes to it, so it's well worth having a look at. With obviously this personally, I think Marmoush as a left wing wouldn't necessarily be my favourite. I would definitely be looking at him as a cam more so than anything and just swapping out him there. Maybe Cherokee is changed for like Doku instead. I think that personally would be my favourite. We have Mama coming in. We've obviously got Konza, Dumfries again, Ake, a few of the Serie, I don't even know what the women's league is called, but the Serie A, but for women. Then Orsolini is obviously in there as well. Pretty standard, and I can imagine a lot of people have got a bit of an upgraded team now, especially if you have done your challengers or your weekend league in champions. More than likely we've probably seen a bit of an upgrade across the board of teams now. A 50k team, a 100k team has more than likely got to that next level. We are seeing Messi relatively cheap. We've obviously seen the first Ronaldo upgrade in this Cornerstone team too. Whether we see Messi in the coming weeks, I imagine that they will get them straight out there, because 8k for Messi, even though I do think you kind of take away the pace vibe of him, dribbling wise he's still fantastic. He's still got that ability in him. He's just not the finished product. And like we've said every year, if it's not an icon, Messi and Ronaldo will always eventually reach a 99 status in every game they're in. They could both play in this MLS and Saudi League for the next 5 years, they will always reach 99 by the end of the game. It's just naturally what's going to happen. Their name is too big not to. We've obviously then got Morello, who I personally really like. I do like Gabriel as well in terms of the centre-back defensive ability. Pace, little bit clunky, but you got like a Frimpong and Robertson who have got the pace around him. He's going to be more than fine as long as you don't run out with him consistently. And then Morello can definitely hold his own as well. I think Tonali and DePaul, solid shouts across the board. Obviously could do with a bit more of a chem here. He's got Sarr in the middle. I think you could possibly go and drop maybe... You could drop Sarr and then put like, I don't know if a Martinez would give you one extra. I don't know if it would. I know you've got Martinez here. I'm assuming this is not including managers. So what you could personally do is, let's see if it's got MLS. Could get one more MLS. So if you get a manager, that should sort both of them out. Not a problem. which then means we shoot up to the 200k. Now, we've got a slightly different formation. I don't know if I've seen that many 5-backs personally. I think this would be... So if you're looking for coins, head over to eldorado.gg. There is huge amounts of verified sellers on Eldorado, and there is a money back guaranteed by TradeShield. If that's not enough, there is 24/7 live support and also plenty of reviews across websites that will definitely put your mind at ease. And as always, before you check out, make sure that you are using the code JT11 for 5% off every single order. Back to the video. I don't know, actually. I don't know if this would be considered, like, Saka is a question mark for a lot of people. I think Shaw's not terrible this year, but definitely not the levels we had. I think Hemp is fantastic. Russo looks great, but definitely as a striker more so than a centre mid. Whether this is a change in game formation or not, I personally would say a striker would suit it down to the ground. We've then got a 4-2-3-1 second variation. Okay, Gravador, Robinson, obviously a bit of Hincapi. We've got Khan at the back, Lavelli, Williamson, Swanson, Mamouche. It's standard. I think that's not a bad team. You could definitely upgrade it, but I think as a bog standard to begin with, not terrible to say the least. Then we've got this is a 4-4-1-1. We've obviously got Dabina, who's been definitely in quite a few teams, to be honest. We've seen her a little bit more than I was expecting to. Obviously, the NWSL has got some wonderful players in itself. Sophia Wilson being the most expensive at like 400k. But Rodman, Swanson, very good links that you can get. Obviously, Lavelle in the centre mid. Cam and Vinga. You got the Barca boys in the defence. I don't think that's a bad team at all. You could throw in like a Kayonde as right back then, and then have that attack up there. Maybe change Wilson at one point. That again would be a pretty sound team to upgrade. Naz is definitely been in a fan favourites of teams now. Obviously with a little bit more pace. She was a objective. I don't think she was an SBC. Pretty sure an objective at the start of the game. Naturally will be actually because there's zero pricing. Rosicki could have been his hero pack. We then got foundations, a couple more objectives / SBCs. Doku, Spence, Tamore. Obviously the left back I would upgrade. Depending on what you're going for, actually. I suppose he's going English for the Serie A more so than anything. But plenty of room to improve. Nice starter in there. We've got mid-season. We've obviously got Palmer up top. We've got Shaw. Again, could swap the Russo over, but... I mean, if a couple of people have got her in centre mid, I just think that defensive ability is going to be a little bit of a waste. Maybe kind of swapping her over for the Cam might be just that little bit better in my opinion. We've got Konate, who is so cheap for such a good centre back. Like, yes, there is moments where I want to rip my hair out with him where he's just... And it's probably my fault. It's more than likely me pushing him out of position and he's just not quick enough, or he's not got the turning speed to be able to go back that little bit more, but it does work fantastically. We then have the Barclays WSL that I do think have plenty of ability. I mean, you've got the WSL of Grace now coming in, who is fantastic in herself. You can definitely make a solid starter team, and for relatively cheap price. Like a lot of these coming in, you take away a 50k player, you take away the 90, you can really drop the price quite significantly. Bit of Serie A, which is always fantastic. We've got Ndogi in there. We've got Saliba, who looks unbelievable. Yildiz is an inform, or Salini, the Dzeko SBC. Serie A has been a kind of an upgraded team that you can keep going up. There's always that next level that really keeps this team going. Which then means we shoot up to the 500,000 now. Now, this is kind of where I feel like most of the teams would tap out. Like you will get some 2 million coin teams. You might get a 1 million coin team. I came up against so many icons and heroes. It was unbelievable towards the end of Champs. But on an average basis, I think 200 to 500 was where it really capped out. They might have one player like Diani that clearly they've managed to either get untradeable or they've put all their coins into, and then the rest are kind of like your Chuamenes, maybe you throw a Konate in, maybe you've got a Frimpong, and then you've got Baude or Arejo coming in who are of the cheaper side, and naturally that's kind of building up quite a good team. I think Pinner as a solo striker I could see working, but it's mainly the low driven if you can get that in. I personally had her on the left wing this week with Gyökeres up front, and having her kind of come in and have that shot across was always great. We've got Karchawi, who is in a lot of teams. Now, obviously, she's kind of changed her left-back ability straight into the cam. Good pace, passing, dribbling, bit of defending and shooting, nothing too crazy, but you could see where she can kind of mix it up and on the ball was pretty sound. Not necessarily the crazy player, like I don't think she was an absolute must for everybody, but I can see where the upgrade's gone, and it does work. It does work very, very well. We have projects. So again, we got Kvaratskhelia, we got Diaby coming in cheap. Ramirez, I think, could be upgraded in my opinion. We got Riton in the cam, I think is fine. Grace, Cucurella, Renard was actually really good, but pricing was a bit expensive. Like the fact that you can go get Konate, and now you could sell her and go buy Saliba as well. I think that would be my personal preference there. Conte, always good. Llorente, solid. And I've seen him. I don't know what it is with him, but he was in so many teams. I thought it might have been Kem to begin with, but then I'm thinking, well, you could change a player. Like, it doesn't, if you wanted a better keeper like an Alisson or Donnarumma, even if you went like a Martinez or Raya, but surprisingly, did very well for the K. So again, looking at him, if you're looking for a French keeper potentially, and you're not going for like a Mignan, I must admit, he did very, very well for a lot of people's teams. Then we're looking at 630, obviously going in with a bit of Izzat now, who's dropped 90. We got a Rutter as an evolution that I think is well worth looking at. Marmoush on the left again. Personally, for me, I would have him as the cam, but I can see where he's trying to squeeze everybody in. Pepe, great value for what he costs. A bit of Xabi Alonso as well. I'm clearly imagining him to be a first owner more so than anything. Kimmich, Upamecano. We've obviously got the left back that was in, again, a considerable amount of teams. Konate, Frimpong seem to be the most kind of average players in there. They were always going to be the pair, and I personally bought Konate, and Frimpong was an upgrade from the 83 pack. So I've kind of, it's almost solved itself, and then we have Alisson in net that more than likely will be changed for Donnarumma. We have 1.1. Now, clearly they've got a bit on the bench as well, but Pickford is a 20k keeper. Personally, I would swap out. If you're spending 1.2 million coins, I think you've got, is anybody else in this bench? Is that 1.2? I mean, King is obviously there. He's clearly come from the hero pack. Rodri's sound. Cherokee I could upgrade. Patry was brilliant. She was in my team this week. Baude was fantastic. Bit of Van der Ven. Koyunde, I suppose, is 120 as well. I'd say there's only little bits of upgrades here. Whether he's got any of these players here, personally, I would be looking. I suppose none of them can play Cam, which is a bit unfortunate. But you could go ahead and swap Kudus to the other side, bring Yamal on. You could then go for like a Cam that would work there. Patry's there as well. There's a few things you could go with upgrade in that team. We then have 40k. Oh, I suppose they've ticked everything. We've got Smith, who clearly is obviously an untradeable. Lookman, Loftus-Cheek. And this would be a clear sign of you've got really lucky in a good pack look player, and then you're just starting to fill everybody out. There's nothing too crazy with it, but there's upgrades left, right, and centre you could throw in. We then have 2 million coins. We're coming in with Saliba, Militao, Nuno Mendes. Brilliant card. And then Koyunde, João Neves, Pedri, very good in the middle. Clearly going for a more narrow formation, if anything. Wilson, phenomenal striker. Pinner, obviously. And then we've got the bench. Whether he's trying to, either he's got this on the bench, which again would be crazy for the subs you could bring on. Bringing on a Bonmati, bringing on Bellingham, putting Llorente in any sort of position, and then having Izzat coming over, maybe Pinner. You got Salma in there as well. That would be a pretty nice team that you could go with. We then got 2 million again. We've got a little bit of bench players. We've got Pateas there, De Jong and Koyunde. We've got Bonmati, Patry, Salma, Pedri, Yamal, Rashford obviously being up front. Everybody waiting for that evolution. We're looking very heavy on that Spanish league with Map, Eliana, Rejo. Possibly would go Militao as the upgrade. Battle doesn't seem too bad. I mean, Trent would be the obvious upgrade, but again, it's all dependent on what your positions are. Ter Stegen seems to be pretty good. I think there's enough Liga F players here to potentially get him in there more so than anything. You can even throw in Oblak. And then finally, we have got the World Cup 2026. Now, it's clearly building a Brazilian team. I think Brazil is always going to be a fantastic option across the board here, which will do really well. So let's have a look, just a little look as well. Because we've got this high price, I want to see, now looking at the 5 mil teams, just seeing where are we at with some of these. Because most definitely there's now cards that are dropping. Got Donnarumma at 0, obviously that's the PSG version. So Ramirez, cool, Torre. So I think they are still going to be really heavily filled with a lot of icons, more so than anything. I think golds have definitely come back. This Ooh, okay, so this could be it. We've got Simon. So clearly we've got chemistry. We've got the 31. Who's not got it? So a manager would sort that out surely. Barcola on this side. We've got Nico Williams. Possibly swap. I personally prefer Doué in my opinion. So I would go with Nico Williams on the left, Doué on the right. We've got Rodri, Wirtz, Gravenberch. Fantastic midfield. We've got Frimpong, Saliba, Konate, Nuno Mendes. If it weren't affecting the chem too much, which possibly all you'd have to do is bring in maybe Virgil here and then go with like Hakimi on this right hand side. I think you could get away with that. We've got one, yeah, you could potentially, because we've got the links here, unless there's nation links that are going on with maybe Gravenberch, but there's links across the board here. I would go with Hakimi here more so than anything. I think that would be my personal preference, and maybe at some point you could throw a Vitinha in over like Rodri potentially. Again, you're looking at chemistry. That would kind of be one of the better gold teams that you could personally get. Then we've obviously got a bit of Mbappe now coming in at 2.5, which is nuts to think. We've got Rodrigo. He was a massive shout this year. Then we've obviously, or this week, we've got King again, Van der Ven, Frimpong, Camavinga, Sauer. She's been in quite a few games actually, which has just been absolutely nuts in itself. And then we've got icons of Arsenal, 5.1 mil. Imagine if you've managed to get Henry as well in this. Saliba, Gabriel, Campbell, Raya, Cole, Vieira, Pires, Bergkamp, Lundberg, Wright, Henry. I mean, you've got loads of past and present teams that will do immeasurable things. We've then got a Premier League. Again, you're looking at heroes to really bump up the value, whether you're really spending 1.5 on Stam. I doubt it. I'd be looking definitely in that gold team as kind of the most value that you can get in the team. But that's going to be everything for today. Let me know where your team's standing. What are we talking about a price? Have you got a player that you are looking to get to? What's the next upgrade that you want to get to? If you've managed to get this far, give me that name down below and we'll see how quickly we can get there.